No amount of training can prepare you for this. It's time for a radio beatdown. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. This is the Ultimate Fight Show, your source for all things MMA. Now, let the damage begin.
It's the Ultimate Fight Show, live, 740 The Game, brought to you by Tiger Martial Arts, PokerVT.com, and Oxygen4Energy.com. That's Oxygen, the number 4Energy.com. It's the first show of 2010. We took a little break, but we are back. Sensei Phil will be back next week. We do have a new guest host right now. His name's Brian. He trains out at Ben Saunders Gym. What's going on, Brian?
What's going on? Happy New Year.
The Ultimate Fight Show is your source for all things mixed martial arts. We have up-to-the-minute MMA news. We're discussing everything that's being talked about in the sport today, and we bring a different fighter every week. We want your call. Give us your opinion and talk with the fighters. Call us at 407-916-8255 or toll free at 1-800-729-8255. You excited, Brian, about tonight's show, talking to Mike Swick?
I'm ready to get started. You know, I heard a little rumor. I heard we're having a guy from Orlando.
Yes, sir. Tom Lawlor is going to be calling us in a few.
One of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, man. I know that he was around since before the show, but I really haven't, I didn't see him too much before that show, but it did make me a fan. It was pretty funny.
You know, the guy's crazy, and that always makes for a good time.
Talking about UFC 108, I guess President Dana White might say I told you so, because that was a pretty good card.
Listen, if you didn't watch UFC 108, you missed out.
Yeah, that was a good card, man.
This is a perfect card for anybody out there who doesn't know anything about these up-and-comers to let you know that you guys need to start paying attention and watching out for these guys. You know, they're out there trying to make a name for themselves.
Man, I'll tell you what, we saw great knockouts, great submissions. Even the fights that went the distance were pretty entertaining. Even the part where Thiago Silva forgot he was losing a fight at the end there, when he forgot he was actually losing a fight and decided to showboat.
The famous dance-off.
Yes, sir. He had Rashad Evans hurt, man. I'll be honest with you, though. That was the first time I was ever pulling for Rashad Evans. I'm not a big fan of his. He did kind of make me a fan during the show. I think that a lot of people are in that boat. I think that there was a lot of people that didn't like him, and during the show he might have gained a couple more fans, and I'm one of them. So this is the first time I was pulling for Rashad Evans, so I was kind of happy with Thiago Silva at the end of that fight. He had him hurt, and it looked like it was another Kung Lee incident. Did you watch the Kung Lee fight?
I saw that, and it was an opportunity. I think you're right. It was an opportunity for Thiago to jump in there, finish the fight off, do the best he can. And he got caught in the moment. Rashad Evans is a hard guy to root for sometimes because he is a showboater. I met him in Atlanta. He seems like a very humble person. And watching him on The Ultimate Fighter, he seemed to be humble. And his team was very, very successful as a result of some of his training. So, I think it's a mind tactic. I think he gets people into that. And he trapped Thiago Silva in it, and it cost him the fight.
Yeah, and I think another one like that is Josh Koscheck. He's kind of one that was hard for me to get on his bandwagon. But I'm starting to kind of like him a little bit, I think. But I think, like you said, it's kind of what they need to do, what they do to sell things. I mean, Rashad Evans, it was kind of hard for me to get on his bandwagon after he did that to Chuck Liddell. A big Chuck Liddell fan.
Yeah, but we were there for that. That was hard to watch.
Oh, were you there?
Yeah, I was in Atlanta at the time. My girlfriend and I, we made the trip up there, and it was hard to watch. And I will tell you, the people in the stands were less than pleased. Everybody loves Chuck.
Man, we were at TGI Fridays front row, and it got dead silent. I mean, that place just got completely silent. You could hear a pin drop when that happened. That was crazy.
It was hard to hear the pins dropping over all the beers being thrown at the arena, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you what, we have a special guest caller right now. It's Filthy Tom Lawlor. What's going on, man?
Hold on a second, actually, guys. I'm actually in the bathroom right now.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, that's where a lot of America got to know you, was in the bathroom.
Yeah, actually, if you could give me a second, I'm not sure if you can hear me or not.
I'll tell you what, you take your time, you get done with what you need to do, man.
Sorry about that. I figured I had time, but I guess I didn't.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'll tell you what.
I'm good to go.
We
looking my fingers off, and I'm good to do the interview.
Finger looking good, man.
Yeah.
Tom, the last time we saw you in the octagon, it was when you were choking out CB Dollaway. I'll tell you what, that was during the UFC 100 card. We happened to be watching that fight with Mike Swick at Friday's Front Row here in Orlando. And that was the only fight on the card that I actually jumped up and screaming like a little girl, man. I'm so glad that happened. That was a sick fight, bro.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Any support I can get, whether it's fact that people like me or they just hate the guy I'm going against, I'll take it.
Yeah, man,
I'll take anything I can get.
You got a big fight coming up this Monday, huh?
Yeah. Big fight against Aaron Simpson here on Spike TV, Ultimate Fight Night 20. Should be hitting the cage at about 9:30, but make sure to tune in at 9 p.m. to see some other fights going on, some good action. And, I'm ready. I'm ready for this fight.
Yeah, you don't cut a lot of weight, do you?
No, I'm actually underweight right now for 170.
But I'm sure you feel pretty good. You're training out there at Seth Petrzelli's gym, right? That's you guys. Both of you guys have that gym now.
I'm sorry? That's
both your gyms now, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Myself, Seth, we got a real good team of guys out there. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Mike Lee. We got some other guys you'll be hearing about real soon. I don't want to give their names and give anything away, but we got a real good team out there. And training went real well. I also went down to Miami, Florida, and trained at the Freestyle Fighting Academy with the Avalon brothers. And also at a place in Orlando called BTS Sports Performance. So everything's firing all cylinders. I'm ready to do this.
Hey, Tom, I understand that Aaron Simpson trains out of the same camp as CB Dollaway. Is there a change in game plan for a fighter fighting out of the same camp, or is it basically the same strategy going in?
They're totally different fighters when you look at the results that they've had in their fights. Aaron Simpson's a guy that likes to go ahead and stand up and try to throw heavy hands to knock you out. He'll use takedowns, it seems, as a means to go ahead and get the knockout. I think CB's more of a guy that likes to use ground and pound or take you down and control you and look for a submission or get a good position and land some punches. It's really a totally different matchup as far as styles go, but I'm just trying to go ahead and improve on all aspects of my game. So, there's nothing that I've been working to try to avoid per se, but I've just been trying to get better on all fronts.
Well, I know you're not the kind of guy that's afraid to stand and bang, and we've all seen the power in your hands as demonstrated in the bathroom of the Ultimate Fighter house, the knockout heard round the house, if you will.
I'll tell you what, that was the best episode, man.
Entertaining, to say the least. You stay in touch with any of those guys, Tom?
Yeah, I talked to him on occasion. I talked to Vinny Magalhaes a lot. I keep in touch with him. I went out and actually lived with him in California for a few weeks. So yeah, and I'm real friendly with Ryan Bader and the other guys that I met, Kyle Kingsbury. Still speak to Dave Kaplan. He's a little hard to get a hold of, but I think he might be still going in and out of consciousness sometimes. So.
I know training with Vinny had to be beneficial to you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was just out at Abu Dhabi for the World Championships, and I wonder how much BJJ you picked up from living over there.
Yeah, well, I actually trained with him. That was in May of last year. And actually, if you watch his matches in Abu Dhabi, I'm in the corner because I competed as well, but I had an earlier exit than he did. So if anybody sees the videos of him doing flying arm bars and high-fiving a guy that looks like he just stepped off the street eating out of a trash can, that's me in his corner.
That's funny, man. And you had a lot of luck in wrestling before you went into MMA. And tell us about your wrestling. What ended up? Where didn't you? You were actually a high school teacher there for a while, right? History teacher.
Yeah, I was I'm sorry.
Was it history?
Yeah, I was a high school history teacher. I taught American history and world history. It wasn't a bad job, but when you're in a job and all you can think about is doing something else all day, it kind of wears down on you.
If you're a high school teacher thinking about beating kids up all the time.
Yeah, well, I wasn't necessarily thinking about beating them up. I tried to stay as far away from touching
minors,
high school boy or girl.
Gotcha.
By any means, but